All right, let's check. Oh, yum. That smells so good. Today's special is salmon with a pistachio crust, and we're going to be making it in an air fryer. Now, I always thought of air fryers as good for, chicken wings or French fries, but as it turns out, the air fryer cooks salmon and delicate seafood beautifully, and it cuts down a ton on cook time. So first, I'm going to work on the pistachio crust, which has some parsley in it. And I've already gone ahead and washed and dried it thoroughly, which is always important because if the parsley is wet when you're chopping it, it's going to turn black and it's just a little messy, and this way it'll be evenly spread throughout the mixture. All right, so I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of the parsley in this larger dish. I'm also going to put some aside because I'm going to be making some couscous today, and we're going to add just a little bit of parsley in at the end just to kind of give it some extra flavor. So I'll leave that aside. I have some Japanese breadcrumbs, so I'm going to take a couple tablespoons of those. It's going to help get that really nice crunch that we're looking for. And I find that Japanese breadcrumbs aren't as dusty as the finer crumbs can be. Now we have some pistachios. These are toasted pistachios, which is a great way to bring out a lot of that nutty flavor. And you can either toast the pistachios in the skillet, or you can do it in an oven on a rim baking sheet. So I want a little bit of texture, so I'm not going to go too fine with my cuts here. Now, if you don't have pistachios, but you had almonds, you could definitely use those instead. Again, 2 tablespoons there. All right. And finally, I'm going to add some fennel seed to the coating as well. It's going to give just a little bit of sweetness and that licorice flavor. So let me measure out a half a teaspoon. Already smells so good. And then with something like fennel seed, as opposed to the nuts or the parsley, you kind of want to do a rocking motion with your knife. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my fingers straight across the top of the blade and sort of rock back and forth. And you don't have to go too crazy, but honestly, I don't really want a huge chunk of fennel when I bite into my salmon, and I know my kids wouldn't be too thrilled about that either. So that is perfect. All right, one of the key components of this recipe, yes, it's aluminum foil. This is called a foil sling, and I'm gonna go about 4 inches across. And then I'm going to just kind of fold in the ends. And the idea here is that I'm going to be placing the salmon onto the foil sling, and it's going to be easy to come in and out of the air fryer basket just like so. I'm going to grab the salmon. Okay, these are gorgeous salmon fillets. Now these are 6 ounces each. You want to find some fillets that are between 4 and 6 ounces, and they are also about 1.5 inches thick. That's just going to ensure that the fish is going to cook properly according to the recipe, and if they're too thin, they would be overcooked. Now I'm going to pat the fillets with some paper towel, and this just helps to wick away any moisture, and it's also going to help to get the coating to stick really well onto the salmon. Okay, now I need 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Just going to sprinkle that evenly over the salmon. And I'm also going to be adding some Greek yogurt to the top. I haven't tried this recipe with regular yogurt, but I do think Greek yogurt is important to use because it's a little bit thicker, so it's going to be a better glue to hold the topping on. Now you can use a spoon or a fork here, or a rubber spatula. I just love my mini spatula, so I am going to use that offset spatula just to kind of evenly coat the salmon with the yogurt. So I've got the topping from earlier, and what I'm going to do is put the salmon yogurt side down into the topping. And just give it a good firm pat, just because you want to make sure it's getting as much of the topping as possible. Now you'll notice I'm only putting the coating on the top, not the whole piece of salmon, because if I did, I'd have to go in to flip the salmon just to prevent it from getting soggy on the bottom. All right, so now I've got the sling, and I'm going to transfer each piece skin side down Oh man, that looks so good. All right, right into the center. These are ready to go into the air fryer, so I need to go grab that, clean up, wash my hands. Okay, so it's this easy, ready? That's it. So I'm putting the fish right into the center of the air fryer. And then if there's like a little bit of overhang, I'm just gonna kind of tuck it under. All right, now before I put it in, I'm just gonna spray it with some olive oil spray. And that'll help to kind of get a little bit of extra crunchiness on the salmon. So I am gonna start on our side dish right now because I'm gonna be making some couscous. But I wanna talk about the air fryer just real quick because I was a total skeptic. I'm not a huge gadget girl, but I'm an air fryer advocate. You don't have to preheat an oven, you don't have to preheat the air fryer, your kitchen doesn't get hot. So with that being said, I'm just gonna leave the salmon in the basket just for a few minutes while I start on my couscous. Over medium-high heat, I'm just gonna add 2 tablespoons of butter. 1. And I'm gonna melt the butter right now and I'm gonna wait for the foaming to subside. Now couscous is the ideal side dish for lots of things, but because it's super quick cooking, it's really hands-off, especially this version, and it's a blank canvas, so you can add any kind of flavorings you want. You could do orange zest, lime zest, different kinds of herbs. Like today, we're actually gonna be adding some of the parsley that I saved earlier. The foaming has definitely subsided, so I'm gonna measure out 2 cups of couscous. All right, add it into the pan. So I'm gonna cook the couscous in the melted butter for about 5 minutes, and this is called the pilaf method, similar to how you would make rice pilaf. And what's happening is that you're toasting the grains of the couscous, so it's gonna bring out a little bit more depth and complex flavors. And it's also, the fat in there is gonna coat each grain, so it's gonna prevent the couscous from clumping up. So again, stirring frequently, I'm just gonna go in there every once in a while, but I'm gonna let this go for about 5 minutes until the grains are beginning to brown. And in the meantime, I'm gonna go grab some chicken broth and some water. All right, we're there. It's been about 5 minutes. The couscous is definitely, I can smell, it's really nutty and it's starting to brown. So I'm gonna add our liquid. I've got a cup of chicken broth and a cup of water. The chicken broth there is gonna add just a little bit of extra savoriness and a little bit of extra flavor. It's gonna make a good sound. It's one of the best sounds. And then I'm gonna add a little salt, 1 teaspoon. And I know I said this is the easiest recipe because that was the hardest part of the recipe. Whew, stressful. Cover the pan, move it off heat, and let that sit for 7 minutes. That's it. It's gonna finish cooking while it's sitting there. So in the meantime, because we wanna time this meal perfectly, I'm now gonna start the salmon. So going back over to the air fryer, we want this to cook for 8 minutes at 400 degrees. All right, let's check. Oh, yum. That smells so good. All right, I'm gonna check the temperature. I just wanna make sure it is 125 degrees for medium rare. If you like your salmon cooked a little bit more, just cook it an additional 2 to 4 minutes longer. All right, that is close enough for me. Now, look how easy this is. Isn't that great? It just would have been hard to kind of get in there with a fish spatula. Another very useful piece of equipment. I love fish spatulas. Use them for all sorts of things. They're really firm. I'm gonna now take my fish spatula and between the skin and the meat, I'm just gonna run the spatula right between it. If you like your salmon skin, by all means, you should eat the salmon skin. And now, check on the couscous. Oh yeah. Add the extra parsley from earlier, just on top. Again, you could use lemon zest, orange zest, all sorts of different types of stir-ins just to help give it a little more seasoning, but I'm just gonna do parsley today. This looks so good. It's not super clumpy, again, because we use that peel-off method. I don't know about you, but I wanna try this stuff. So I'm gonna take a little bit. Oh my goodness. So flaky, so tender. Now I'm gonna get some of that couscous. Oh my goodness. I'm trying it now. I'm gonna go with a little bit of salmon. Star of the show is the yogurt. It really gives a ton of acidity. It really held that crunchy topping onto the salmon. The salmon is like next level, all thanks to the air fryer. Air fryer salmon with pistachio crust and some couscous. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. And I want to know, what is your favorite or the craziest thing you have ever made in an air fryer? Let me know in the comments.